Last week was so much drama.
And so much family drama.
Yeah, no kidding.
No fighting, but all the drama.
Yeah, no fighting, but that's fine. We needed a week to like resolve all of the bullshit.
God.
Yeah.
After Asmodeus, God.
Yes, Asmodeus is gone, and also like he's like super gone apparently because you were called in to testify before the Council of the Overgod, and your testimony helped seal his fate. You watched as Ao unmade him. It was extremely metal.
The most metal.
And then a whole bunch of bullshit happened. Okay, Escher and Ember announced their engagement, and now all of Neverwinter is extremely excited.
No one was surprised.
And not just
No,
because,
not a single person.
not just because, a Tremaine wedding is always big news, because it makes a lot of money for Neverwinter, but also because, like, it's the social event of the season whenever a Tremaine gets married. And, like, 50 people who aren't technically invited always seem to mysteriously show up.
Mysteriously.
They just happened to be in the area at the time, and they decided to poke their head into the chapel. What else? Oh, that's right. We resolved mostly the plot with Kostya. Davin was interrogated under the Zone of Truth, and he confessed to not intervening in the attack that killed his brother and the hunting party.
Because he thought a 16-year-old could handle it.
Right. He's like, he's a Tremaine. It's fine.
Because he thought a 16-year-old could handle it. And obviously that didn't happen. Oh, Rugen.
Yeah, and then we met Baku, one of Baku's older brothers.
Mm-hmm. And Escher kind of, like, on behalf of the group, but he doesn't think anyone's gonna, disagree with him, said that it would be totally fine, like, it's your mother, we'll go wherever you want, we'll help you however you need to be helped. Okay. That is where we left off. I'd like to pick up the start of this new, session at the first formal dinner after all of this bullshit went down.
Wow.
And it is exactly as awkward as you think it is. Like, for a start, Davin's just not there.
Right, of course.
Escher is sitting next to you, Ember, and you are now seated as the lord of the table.
Oh, God.
Escher is sitting to your left. Your mother is sitting to your right. Vasha and Baku are sitting... Vasha, you're next to Ember. Baku, you're next to Lady Tremaine. And there's, like, the conspicuous absence of Davin at the other end of the table. Who wants to talk? The food's good, right?
I think to set the scene, it's been a while since they've all been at, like, a formal dinner. And Ember,
we've been in hell for a long time, y'all.
So, like,
The last one was in Strahd's castle, I do believe.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
So, like, Ember was obviously brought up on, like, appropriate etiquette with all this stuff, but it's gotten a little rusty. So I'd like to think that he's, like, constantly forgetting the appropriate fork to use.
Nice.
And he's just looking around really awkward. He's very uncomfortable with the whole situation.
And his mother's like, I raised you better than this.
He's, like, tilting soup towards him, which is, everyone knows that's wrong.
Your mother seems very forgiving. Like, she's never really been one to care about Mimi. I swear to God, I will throw you out.
Great start. I love the cats. They're my favorite characters.
The cats are the best characters in this
That is
campaign.
probably going to be a thing.
I know. I hope people listen to this and are just like, I love these
When
cats.
this podcast becomes famous, the first compilation is going to be Tessa yelling at her cat for 3 minutes.
Exactly.
Anyway. So your mother is never one who's really cared about, using the correct fork or anything. Your father did, not your mom, not so much. But also your father's been dead apparently for several years now. That's another conspicuous absence. We haven't really talked about it, but I just kind of killed your father off screen.
That's true. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah,
You have something after the Tremaine family here. Lots of dead Tremaine.
Lots of dead Tremaines,
Well,
yeah.
one of those was kind of on me in my backstory.
True. Everyone here is anti-Tremaine happiness.
It's a conspiracy.
Thanks, guys.
So I get the feeling that this dinner is kind of like it's a little tense. Well, not tense, more like there's a lot of like emotional baggage that's just kind of there, and no one really knows how to talk about it.
So I'm gonna do so. I think Ember tries to start up a conversation about the wedding, and he's like, he looks up from the dinner table. He's like, "So I heard back from the florist today.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. They're going to be able to provide all the gold clover?
they said that they weren't able to have. They didn't have as much as they thought. So we're gonna have to find a different flower, or maybe we could do half and half. I'm not sure. Escher, what do you think?"
Escher is kind of pushing his food around his plate. He doesn't answer for a minute, and then he says, I drafted a letter to send to the Spires in the morning about Lathander.
About the flowers?
No,
about
Lathander.
no.
You know, the other thing that we said that we were gonna, mention when we got home.
Oh. Escher looks like, or Ember looks, God, I'm doing it. Ember, suddenly gets really uncomfortable and is like, do we have to talk about this right now?
He says, I mean, we can't just leave them in the dark. We know what happened, and we have an obligation to tell them. I mean, we are a cleric and a paladin of the church.
We are, unfortunately, right now. Ember looks at him and he goes, he gives a heavy sigh, and he's like, you're right. But a letter isn't enough. We need to go in person.
He says, that's the thing. I don't think we're going to have time to go in person. Baku, I haven't told them yet, Baku, but I think now is probably the best time to do it.
Baku's like, yes, about that timing, I would so love for you to announce to these, what I'm sure they're wonderful people, that their god is dead. But the thing is,
Not dead. Just
right, he's not.
It's all fine. Everything is fine.
Right, it's fine. He will come back. I agree, Ember. It's fine. He's coming back. But I did tell my brother that I would join him on the quest to find out what happened to my mother, and it would be best if everyone came with me, if that's all right.
Escher, upon hearing this, rephrases it so it doesn't sound a little bit ridiculous. He's like, Baku's mother is in danger. They need our help to save her.
Ember looks up across the table and he's like, of course we'll come. Of course. That's not even a question. When do we leave?
Baku's
Obviously
like, well, I
counting
mean, we should have already left, but
Oh,
Escher says, we'll leave in the morning.
took kind of
That's
wind
fine.
out my sails there, but okay, sure.
He says,
fine,
that's
you were
why I
gone
wanted
running
to
around.
draft a letter. And he says, he looks over at Lady Tremaine and he says, would you mind delivering it? I think it's better if the news at least came with one friendly face. And Lady Tremaine, she has been very quiet.
Yeah.
And as you are all kind of looking at her and watching as she stares down at her food, you realize it's because for the very first time in her life, she's going to be alone in this enormous castle.
Oh no.
She says, "Oh yes, that's fine. I can certainly have a chat with Father Olswell. We can. I'll give him the letter, and yes, that's fine." She goes back to eating. She takes a really small sip of wine.
Ember puts his hand on his shoulder and he goes, Mother, we'll be back as soon as possible. I'm so sorry to leave you in times of turmoil, but you know we have to help Baku.
She says, "Oh, I completely understand. Don't worry. Of course it's important. It's Baku's mother." She's silent for a moment, and then she says, David took the carriage before dinner. He's gone.
Oh.
Ember looks at Darkly and he goes, good riddance.
Baku just kind of nervously looks at Ember and at Vasha and back and forth.
It's probably for the best.
Escher kind of says, also, I'm gonna have to trade in my cleric gear, I guess, for a little while. I'm not any use to anyone as a cleric at the moment. I think I still have my daggers.
Yeah. And Ember looks up at Baku and he goes, to be honest, I don't know how much help I'll be. But
He says, "Babe, you still have a really giant hammer and you know how to swing it." Like a paladin
Baku
that
is
can't
like,
cast
"Yes,
spells
that."
is basically just a very strong person with a sword. A cleric that can't cast spells is kind of there.
Ember's like, I know, but I won't be as cool. It won't be nearly as, it's just really, I don't know.
He pats your arm.
and I can't heal anyone. I know how much you all look forward to me healing you.
Oh, out of character, by the way, I took a healing spell just in case.
Thank God.
Escher still does have the life binder, which he'll be wearing, but that's very limited. It only has 10 charges. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I took cure wounds.
Amen.
So is there anything else anyone wants to say at this dinner? Anyone who might have an extraordinarily powerful scroll burning a hole?
Nobody has a scroll. No, this is not fake news. Fake news.
I don't know why you would think I would tell other people about secret things I'm going to do at night.
Well, you have to tell your DM if you want to do it. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, no, I
It's
mean,
not at dinner.
yeah,
God.
Oh no.
definitely not doing it at dinner. I think Ember looks over at everybody at the table and looks over at Escher specifically, and he goes, "Everything's going to be fine."
Escher says, "Well, it's certainly not productive to think otherwise."
You're so cheerful. This is why I'm marrying you.
Baku's like, oh yes, also my entire family is racist. I hope you're ready.
Is it worse than hell?
Is it worse than hell? You know, it's
They're
felt very familiar.
Solid point.
I'm just curious, you know, like if you've had both experiences, how do you feel? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, hell being 10, how's your family?
6.
Okay. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. It's fine. You know, I just have to yeah.
I kind of have a positive attitude about things now.
The rest of the dinner passes. You talk a little bit about the wedding, and it does help. Like, you know, it's nice. It's like a good thing to talk about in a sea of just shit.
Mm.
It helps, but it also hurts. So Fasha's
Oh,
probably getting a little quiet.
Oh.
And the next morning, quite early, everyone meets outside.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
no, wait.
Oh, are you talking to your cat?
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, are we talking about something scroll related?
Yes.
Oh
my
no.
goodness.
Oh god.
So presumably everybody goes to bed, right?
Oh yes, everyone.
Presumably.
I mean, like,
Doesn't sleep.
I trance.
Yeah, I was like, elves don't sleep. Who are you?
Yeah, but like they're in their rooms.
Right. Baku is with the rabbits like, I missed you, babies.
Aw, bunnies.
Ember's been trying to do this for the last like 3 nights, and it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason. Like he just can't find his way.
Bear
to,
in
like,
mind, you are sharing your bedroom with Escher, so anything
I
With
am.
Escher now.
to sneak around him.
I am, yes. Okay, so I get up in the middle of the night and I try to sneak out the room. I guess that's the first thing.
Roll stealth. You're going to
Okay,
be going against Escher's. I guess this would be passive perception. He's not
I do
looking
not
for
have good
stuff.
The first roll of the night.
Oh my
Motherfucker.
god.
How to sneak around your fiance
Alright,
to do.
Never mind.
the
He
scroll
doesn't-
stuff.
that's a nat 20.
Wow.
All right, you successfully sneak out of your room. You do not wake Escher. What do you do?
So I go down. We have a temple of Lathander, right?
You have a small chapel in the house. Yes.
Okay. I go down to the chapel.
Okay. You
Oh,
go down
no.
to the chapel. It's you know have any of you ever been to Versailles in Paris?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Versailles is
Europe.
big old fuck off castle, and it's famous for having like one wing that's dedicated to a chapel. This is a little bit like that, except of course it's like, you know, a quarter of the size of Versailles. It's like one little wing that's specifically dedicated to worship, because this is a very religious family. There's stained glass windows all along both walls and on the ceiling, and there's a pulpit at the far end. What do you do?
So Ember goes down to the altar and he kneels in front of it and begins to pray. And he leans down, he's praying to Lathander. And so he's asking Lathander, he's trying to feel out for Lathander. So he goes, you know, Almighty Lord, I know that you are supposed to be reborn soon, but I cannot sense your presence at all. If there is anything left of you, I need a sign. I need something. Otherwise I don't know if I can go on like this.
Give me a minute. For a couple long seconds, nothing happens.
Mhm.
The altar, or the chapel, in your family home, it's attended by a chaplain. Not present, obviously. He lives in town nearby. Your chaplain keeps it well stocked with gold clovers, which is the signet flower of Lathander. And there's always like, probably like 2 to 4 gold clover bouquets, just all around. Right at the moment, there are 2 on either side of the altar. And for a couple long seconds of just aching, unbearable silence, one of the half-bloomed gold clovers opens up.
I think Ember looks on in shock, and he stands up and he brushes off his clothes, and he goes, "Thank you. That was enough." Then he goes back up to bed.
Oh.
Oh.
All right.
Well, that was
Sorry, I was hoping there's gonna be more dramatic, but
wow.
Right. If there was no sign, then he would have used wish, and then we all be fucked. It's fine.
I mean, knowing what I know about Lathander, there's not a whole lot that I can... Anyway, it's not important. I can't get into that without spoilers.
Right. Spoilers.
But still, Ember's come a long way, so he's not gonna just do something for the.
Right.
I keep telling you, int is not whiz.
Yeah, but his whiz has gotten better too. So.
Right. That's true.
And he's also had a couple. Like, I can't constantly be the only chaotic disruptor. Y'all got to pitch in sometimes.
Oh, just wait.
All right. So it is the next morning. Everyone gathers outside. Lady Tremaine had this other carriage that the family owns taken out with 2 different horses because apparently Davin took the first one. But it's fine. Like, it'll get you where you're going. Rugen does not look happy. Like, he is staring so distrustfully at the horses. He does not really know what horses are. He's never really had occasion to see them.
He's like, what is that?
And yeah, so he's like, listen, I can drive, but I'm not sure I can get these large, what are they, like cats? Large cats with hooves.
Baku is like, horses.
Horses. So you're all, you're packing up your usual provisions, rations, bedrolls, that kind of thing. Escher is the last one to come down, and when he does come down, he is no longer wearing, when he was resurrected by Lathander, he's transitioned out of wearing his, leather armor, into a simple white and gold robe, marking him as a priest of Lathander. When he comes out the door, he's back in his, fitted leather armor again. He's got, 2 short swords, and he is tucking a dagger into his sleeve and another one into his boot.
Nice.
Nice. Baku is lusting after your fiance.
No, Baku, that was out of character. I'm sorry. Baku is not lusting. There is no lusting in this Dragonborn at all, okay? They love friendship and rabbits, okay? No gender, no romance, done. Those things are fake news.
Because you know that Ember gets very jealous, so.
Oh my
Baku
god,
was just
no
like,
kidding.
well, that's a change. Okay, shrug.
And he throws an overcloak over it all, and Lady Tremaine holds out her hand to Escher, and Escher hands her the letter that he had drafted to the Spires in the morning. It's sealed with the Tremaine signet, which he can do now because he has a signet ring.
Fancy.
Oh god, no, I don't. Oh no.
And she says, "I'll be sure to take this to Father Allswell. I'll tell him everything I know." And she says, "You 5, not 4, 5. Sorry, hello again.
I like that.
You 5, be careful. And if anything happens, Baku, just send me a message, cantrip."
Baku nods. I will, my lady.
I want to say that Vasha gave her like a giant
Oh yeah,
hug
wait a
at
minute.
some
Yeah,
point.
Ember definitely gave her like a giant hug and like told her to be safe and told her they'd do that soon.
She absolutely
definitely.
accepted both hugs, and she probably forced you both into a group hug.
Yeah, exactly. And
really
Rugen's like, what the fuck are they doing?
Just to really drive home the fact that you two have to be brothers. Like, do it.
Yep.
I think it is the most awkward. It is like the most awkward thing that has ever happened.
She don't care. She makes it happen.
She pushes you together like, family.
You're doing that thing, like you're hugging, but you're also kind of leaning away where you're like, no.
This is the shirt of family. She puts both of you in the same shirt. Same sweater.
All right, so Rugen heads off. He seems to want to go north, which you're a little bit south of Neverwinter. So initially you think he's heading for Neverwinter, but he veers off further to the east. You don't know exactly where he's going, but the weather is fair, so it's not a difficult road. Is there anything Yells wants to do on this particular journey?
Oh
So
yeah,
we don't
Baku's gonna take up his +5. You don't know this, Ember, but you gain +5 friendship with Baku.
Aww.
For standing up
For the whole
everybody.
Daven thing, it's
Yeah.
like, oh yes, brothers, I hate them too. I have them. You have them.
We both
So
do
Baku's
have
probably
shitty
gonna try to
brothers.
talk to Ember and be like, hey,
Oh god.
you okay?
Ember looks up at Baku and is like, you know, I'm feeling surprisingly better this morning.
That's good to hear.
I don't know. It's just, I had an epiphany last night.
Oh really? Would you
Yeah.
like to share with the class? Or is it a very private one? I understand if you don't want to share.
I think Ember looks like surprised and he's like, actually, I would like to share.
Oh, by all means.
I went down to the chapel last night to pray to Lathander to ask him to send me a sign, and the flowers opened up.
Baku roll nature really quick. Oh, that's fine. It's not a high roll. You don't know if you want to say this, but gold clover do bloom occasionally at night.
And Baku just sort of nods and is like, that is a very promising sign.
yeah, I thought so too. And he sits back with like a smile on his face.
Baku sort of like awkwardly, twiddles. They've got these long nose tendrils that they play with when they're nervous, like doo 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 doo.
That's adorable.
Think like Haku from what is it? Spirited Away. Yeah, that kind. Yeah. So they're just like, so about Daven.
Ember looks up, kind of surprised, and he's like, "Dave, what happened? Did he do something else?"
Baku's like, no, just how do I say this? You've seen perhaps how my brother treats me.
Oh God, yeah, he's a real dick.
Baku's
like,
like,
Rugen's like, I can
wait
hear
until you
you."
meet the eldest.
I know.
Asher's like, "You're
Baku's
a dick,
like-
Rugen."
Rugen's like, what?
Escher had only been like half listening. He's been sharpening his daggers because he hasn't used them in so fucking long. But when Rugen gets angry, he's like, "Shut up! I'll say it to your face. You fucking suck."
I love this.
Anyway,
Baku's like,
continue.
yeah, so we are going to meet. I have another older brother, and we are going to meet him. He's worse.
Who's the better one?
Rugen?
Remember?
He's the one that Baku's terrified of. Like, oh no,
Oh.
Do
I
you
just
say
want
that?
you to like me, but you don't.
So do you say that, or do you just say that he's worse than Rugen?
Baku just sort of trails off. It's like, you'll meet him soon.
Ember claps Baku on the shoulder and is like, we have your back, right?
Baku's like, yes. Wait, no, I was supposed to be giving you comfort and brotherly support.
I mean, my
Seems-
brother's an asshole, obviously, but we solved that problem. So now we have other brother problems. I think we can solve them all together.
Baku kind of like smiles a little and is like, yes, this was my plan. I had hoped that we could all do it because I am a little nervous, honestly, to do it alone.
You're nervous about confronting your brother.
It's been a long time since I've been home.
How long has it been?
10, 15 years?
Dear God.
Baku's like, did you see I was in school and then your mother hired me and then...
By the way, Baku, you are not heading to where you remember your home to be. Home for you would be very, very southeast.
South.
Yeah, but he seems to be heading northeast.
Northeast. Okay, so...
But he did say something about your mother being trapped somewhere, so that's
Trapped somewhere, right? So that wouldn't be...
That's not necessarily surprising or suspicious.
Yeah, not necessarily. Right. I guess that was all that Baku had to say. Just like, yeah, okay, well, be my moral support. Okay, that friendship over.
Ember claps him like heartily on the back and he's like, hey, buddy, we got this together. We'll beat up any brother you have.
Baku sort of like is embarrassed and like scratching the back of their neck, like, yeah. Okay, sure.
That means you, Rugen.
Rugen doesn't say anything, but you can tell that he's angry.
Right. That's just his, natural expression. Anyway.
So the trip on the whole, on balance, takes probably almost a week. And camping
Wow.
with Rugen is absolutely awful. Like, he is
I'll
the
bet.
worst travel companion. But luckily, he doesn't talk much. When you come over a hill one day, you don't have a really good idea of where exactly you're going because Rugen doesn't really use maps like normal people. He understands Faerun mostly as a topographical image in his head more than anything. You come over a hill and you enter a valley, and in the valley is a single mountain, and this mountain is shrouded by a single massive thunderhead that is directly above it.
Yike.
The thunderhead is sheeting rain right on top of the mountain and nowhere else.
Hmm.
And Rugen
Weird.
seems to be heading directly toward it, and I would like... I guess anyone can roll a nature check on this one.
Okay, well, we all did great rolls.
Perception, I'm great at.
I got 15. Could be worse.
Yeah, true.
Unfortunately, the DC I set for this is 18.
God damn it.
So Rugen doesn't say anything. He seems to be guiding right toward the foot of the mountain, and the path up quickly becomes way too steep. So he leaves the carriage and the two horses to graze, and he finds a mountain path, and he looks back at you and he says, "This way," and he starts climbing up the mountain.
Okay. Baku's like,
I guess we get out and follow him.
yeah, I guess we follow him. Like, okay, so our brother and mother are in the mountain? No, at the top of the mountain?
Yes.
Where are we going?
He says yes. That's all he says.
Yes, of course. Baku's like, yes, of course, one word, of course.
How many of your family are up there?
Baku's like, well, supposedly our eldest brother sent him and my mother's there, supposedly.
Can I make like a perception or investigation check to see if I can detect anything particularly weird about the storm, other than the fact, it's like only hitting this one mountain?
The thing is, I kind of already gave you that. I already gave
Right.
you that roll. It was the nature.
Yeah.
check.
Oopsies, sorry.
Okay.
It doesn't.
All right, so
you
I guess
can
we just
tell-
follow.
You can tell that it is probably at least slightly magical. Like
Yeah.
like thunder doesn't happen like this. Like thunderstorms aren't isolated.
Yeah.
So there's something magical about it, but you don't know what.
Mm. Okay, so I guess Baku just like sighs and follows Rugen.
Ember's like, I don't really like where this is heading, but I mean, I guess
don't
we're
either.
already here, so.
Up a steep mountain path and around a sharp corner is a nearly invisible cave mouth. Rugen walks right inside. The entrance is narrow, but you can tell even from the outside that the cave is massive. It's at least 200 feet across and twice as long.
Jesus.
There are signs and sounds of life at the far end of the cave. And as Rugen leads you inside, you can see between 20 and 30 people. They are lined up mostly along the cave walls. They're sitting in small groups, and they are staring as you enter.
What kind of
Like
people? Are they all
people, or-
dragonborn?
They are people. They seem to be mostly human.
Blink, blink.
I think Ember, is Rugen already ahead of us, or is he still within like distance to?
He's within yelling distance. 20
Like
to 30
Rugen,
feet ahead.
hold up, what's going on? What is
this?
Rugen says, "Varain." And there's a man, human, pale, kind of scraggly blonde hair, who's waiting near the center of the cave. And Rugen heads right up to him. Without answering.
Baku is like, I don't understand. You hate humans.
He doesn't say anything, he just keeps walking up. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna follow him or not?
Baku is not going to follow him. This feels very weird.
Yeah, this.
Ember's following Baku's lead, so he's definitely like he like steps back. He's like he like stage whispers. He's like, "Do you know what's going on right now?"
Baku's like, I have no idea. My clan does not like anything other than Dragonborn. They don't associate with anyone else.
Roll perception.
Any of us? Everybody?
Any of you, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And, oh god, I forgot Escher has a plus 11.
Somebody rolled well. Thank you.
That was Escher. A dirty 20. That's not too bad.
There we go.
Ouch.
2 of you rolled well. The couple rolled well.
Yeah, Escher did it, and he's kind of squinting at something in the back. And for a second, you're not sure what it is he's looking at, because it's like it's got to be at least 400 feet away. Like it's 4 football fields away. The longer you are staring at it, you can see, sure enough, there is a slight magical. It's like a magical barrier at the very far end of the cave. It's too far to see what's behind it. But it is definitely magical in nature. It is shimmering slightly with every stray gust of air that comes past.
Like, Ember looks at Escher, is like, do you have any better idea of what that is other than a magical barrier?
Escher kind of shakes his head. He's like, I've never seen that before.
Interesting.
Oh, great.
Ember
of course,
turns
I'm
to
not.
Baku.
I'm not a sorcerer. And he kind of looks at Baku.
Yeah, let's say, I think we will turn to Baku. We're like, Baku?
Baku is like pacing back and forth like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what is happening.
Varain, the man that Rugen had called Varain, and Rugen are chatting. They're now about like 100 yards away from you, and they're talking, and you can't hear what they're saying because you decided not to follow them. Rugen looks back, and he wants to point at you, and he realizes you're like 100 feet away, and he kind of makes a gesture like, "Get over here."
Do we go over? I'll go over.
So,
Yeah.
Ember is going to pull Escher aside, and he's like, why don't we try to talk to some of these people while they go have that conversation?
Yeah, Baku is like, you stay here, I'll go.
Escher says, "I have a better idea." He's like, "I'm a rogue
Oh.
again. You know what I'm saying?"
Yes.
That's a good point, baby. I always forget. Yeah, no, do it.
So he fucking just like actually, I have to roll stealth. So this is fun. He has an ability as a rogue. I had to rebuild his. Actually, I had to rebuild his character sheet.
Right, he went from a vampire rogue to human, and
human cleric, and now he's a human rogue.
cleric, and now he's back to a human rogue.
He has, as a level 15 rogue, he has an ability called reliable talent, which means that if he has proficiency in a skill, he cannot roll lower than a 10.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
nice.
And his stealth modifier is plus 13.
Oh my good
So
lord.
it is literally
Nice.
impossible for him to get
He's
less
so
than a 23 on a
OP.
stealth check. And I can tell you, I have the stats for these people. They are not good enough to notice him. So Escher just fucking vanishes. Like he might as well have turned fucking invisible right in front of
Nice.
his eyes.
Nice.
He stalks off along the edge.
Ember looks like mildly surprised, and he's like, that's pretty hot. And then he's like, okay, let's go.
Baku just rolls their eyes and approaches Rugen and this strange man.
So Varain, like I said, tall, spindly, scraggly blonde hair. He's wearing the cloak of like a wizard maybe, or like a sorcerer. He looks like he's probably kind of magical. And as you approach Baku, Ember and Vasha, he looks at each of you, but he's mostly looking at you, Baku, and he says, "Rugen, this is the one?" And Rugen nods and says, "This is my sibling, Baku. This is Varain. Varain, this is Baku." And Varain kind of nods and he says, "Good to meet you, Baku." And then, Baku, you feel a knife to your throat.
Oh,
Oh,
fantastic!
good.
Baku is like, who are you? What is going on? What is this?
Ember is yanking down his hammer.
Rugen seems kind of alarmed. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But Varain doesn't pay any attention to him. And Varain says, "Come forward. Bring them forward." And you realize that whoever has a knife to your throat, you think it's one of these people lined up along the walls, is sort of frog marching you forward. And Varain looks at you, Ember, and you, Vasha, and says, "If either of you move, they fucking die." Not said threateningly, just sort of matter-of-factly.
Like, Ember had already reached for his hammer, but I guess he like slowly lets his hand off of the handle and is just like, what are you going to do?
Varain doesn't answer. The person with the knife to Baku's throat marches them forward toward the far end of the cave, closer to the magical barrier.
Ember's like frantically looking around for Escher.
You can fucking see Escher. Escher has a min 23.
Trying
Your
anyway.
your fiance is invisible, dude.
He's like, we have a special connection. I should know where he is at all times.
Yeah, but you don't. So as you get closer, you can see even further even further, as you are walked further into the cave, there's the shimmering magical force field. It's whitish blue in color, but it's almost imperceptible. Standing on the other side of the force field, with both hands up as if maintaining it, is a beautiful, dark-skinned human woman in front of a table.
Uh-huh.
Further in on her side of the cave, you can see just it seems out of place, but there's got to be at least 50 bookshelves. They're all stacked along the walls and on top of each other up toward the very high ceiling. The table that she's standing in front of is stacked with like magical detritus, like reagents and components, various knickknacks.
I wonder.
Yes, so because Ember can't do jack shit, so he like turns to Vashi. He's like, I can't do jack shit because I can't attack him.
Yeah, I can. I have an ace up my sleeve, but I don't want to give it away.
Right, don't do that. Let's see. Baku can do something. It's right. It's fine. I got magic. It's okay. It's okay.
As you are frog marched up to the force field, the woman who's maintaining the barrier opens her eyes and sees the tableau in front of her. And she's like frantically looking between Varain and Rugen, between Vasha, between Ember, and she says, "No, how did you? What? No, don't you touch them, Varain!" Varain kind of gestures for the person with the knife to your throat, Baku, to hold off, and he says, "There's a very easy fix to this, Marin. Tell me, where is the Anvatar?"
Baku is like, I don't understand. Who is this woman?
You can see like her hands are starting to shake, like she is either having trouble maintaining the barrier or she is thinking about letting it drop. She says, "You can't. All right. I'll do whatever you want. It's back here. Just drop the knife."
Okay.
Varain kind of glances back at Baku, looks at you, at Vasha, and you, Ember, and he says, "No, I don't think so. You drop the field first, bring out the Anvatar, and then we will release it."
Okay. I think Baku wants to do something.
Yeah, I was gonna say we gotta do something.
Baku's like, I don't really like this. Okay, so
What does Baku want to do?
I kind of want to cast Mage Hand with the ring to at least get the knife off my throat.
You cannot get a knife off your throat. It would have to. A mage hand cannot participate in a strength check.
Yeah.
And that would be a strength check.
Okay, I see. Oh yeah, it can't. Okay, it can't activate magical items. It can't attack. It can't. Okay.
Yeah, screw it.
Yes. Anybody else?
I turned the metal of the knife to water.
Okay, that's nice.
All
That's
right.
perfect.
Everyone roll initiative.
Oh, God damn it! You know what? I come into this cave to save my mom, and honestly, I'm feeling really attacked right now.
Literally. Oh,
Literally.
So first up in the order are the cultists, actually, who I am going to be treating.
Oh, cultist! Fantastic.
Who I am going to be treating not quite as a swarm, but they all get to move together. The first one of them, upon seeing the knife just abruptly turn into water and probably drench Baku's robes,
Sorry.
Baku's like, eh.
raises the alarm and says, "It's not working! This plan isn't working!" And all of a sudden, Vasha, you are suddenly swarmed by two cultists. You are grabbed by either arm.
Oh, good.
Ember, you are abruptly tackled before you can get hands on your weapon. So there's two on each arm.
Oh, fun.
You are both going to have to make strength checks when it comes to your turn.
Cool.
Baku, pretty much the same thing happens to you, except one of them puts their hand over your mouth, so you cannot cast spells. At least not verbal component spells.
Not verbal components, huh? Okay.
So that's the cultist's turn. It is now Moran's turn. She sees this happen, She like there's like something in her snaps, and she says, "You know what? All right, if you want in so badly." And suddenly her form seems to tear itself apart. Suddenly she grows, and there's this massive dark shape emerging out of her. And suddenly in front of you, where used to be a small demure human woman, is now a massive emerald dragon. Come then!
Oh lord.
And she is going to use her thunderous breath on a small group of cultists that hadn't quite gotten to the fray yet. And that is, they need to make a DC 25 con save. And their con mod is +1, so even if they roll a nat 20, they are not going to be able to half this damage. So...
Wow.
Takes a group of 3 cultists out with one... I am keeping track of how many there are, but I'm not... don't worry about it. I have a little map. I have a little map. There's a lot in this episode.
It's fine, you know.
And then she beats her wings, and 2 more cultists that were kind of hovering by the door suddenly get very, very scared. They're under the effects of frightful presence.
Mm-hmm.
Next up in the
Sweet.
order is Baku. You have a hand over your mouth and you're grappled by 2 people. If you want
Okay.
to get out of the grapple, you're gonna have to make a strength check.
Yes, the very squishy sorcerer in the strength check, but that's probably something they want to do, unfortunately. I guess I'll roll to ungrapple myself then.
All right, roll plus.
It's like, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Is it strength?
It is plus your strength mod, yes.
Okay. Which is,
It's
Really good.
C7.
yeah, it's really good, you guys. I promise.
Well, roll that
And by
again.
really good, I mean 1.
Oh.
I'm a sorcerer. I'm not built for strength, okay? Just because I'm a dragonborn. I love rabbits not hurting people.
That's a nat 1. All right, so you are not ungrappled, and you cannot take any other action this turn.
Fun!
You just like ineffectually move slightly.
Exactly, Baku like
I
tries
love-
to get an arm out like, oh no, this human has grappled me. I am sad.
I
Six
love
foot
the
five.
mental
This is
image
that.
because like their mouth is probably bigger than the hand that's covering it.
Right.
Oh yeah, I could have bitten them. Oh, that's a good idea.
Next up in the order is Escher. Escher fucking
sneak attack.
bursts out of fucking nowhere.
God, I love him.
And
Me too.
That's out of character.
He has advantage on the. He's going to attack. Well, first of all, he's going to bodily slam into the one holding your right arm, and knock them to the ground. Actually, that'll have to be a check. He would have to make a dexterity saving throw. 12 is not going to do it. So one of the people the person holding your left arm falls to the ground, and then he is going to attack the cultist who previously had a knife to your throat and who now has a hand over your mouth. He has advantage on this attack because you are within 5 feet of him. 6 plus, what's his mod? 16 total, which does hit. So that is going to be sneak attack damage.
Yes.
Woof.
Okay.
And that finishes it off. So he knocks one of your captors to the ground, and then he fucking takes the head off the other one.
Woo!
Jeez.
From across the member shouts, "Get it, babe!"
Bucker's just like, thank you.
Oh, and then he's going to use cunning action to hide again.
Yeah,
Of
good
course.
plan. Good plan.
Where he once stood, he is no longer. Next up in the order is Vasha. You are
Cool.
grappled, my elfie child. What are you gonna do?
Cool. Strength check. Definitely. God.
We are doing really good, you guys. These cultists are doing a great job
Yeah. I'm
keeping all of us in check.
You are still grappled, unfortunately. So that is all you can do. You are still grappled. Next up in the order is Varain.
good.
Varain.
It's like, who the fuck are you?
Varain casts invisibility.
Oh,
good.
oh.
He casts invisibility. You can no longer see him. Next up in the order is Ember. Ember, you're
Me.
up. You're up, my sweet
Okay.
darling.
Let's see what happens with my strength check. Oh.
That's a nat 20. So not only do
Thank God.
Not only do you
Right?
break your grapple, you throw one of them into the other one. And you are
Asher
no
from the
longer-
shadows. Ooh, babe.
You are no longer grappled. You can move or attack, but you cannot do both.
Okay. So what's around me?
Vareen just vanished. There's Rugen, who seems kind of alarmed. To your immediate left are 3 dead cultists, and something that they had been standing in front of that you had not noticed because they've been blocking the view. It is a large cage with another green dragonborn inside.
Oh, it's in a cage.
There is a giant emerald dragon directly in front of you. Also that.
Okay.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
There's,
Yeah, emeralds are good.
there are a couple cultists behind you. There's 4 cultists total behind you. They're a ways off, though.
Okay, so Ember's going to turn first to Rugen and say, "Did you know any of this was going to happen?"
Rugen doesn't seem to know what to say. He seems surprised. You can roll insight to see if you want to see if he's deceiving you.
Yes.
With an 18 insight, you can tell that this surprise is genuine. He was not expecting things to go this way.
Okay, so he's going to growl at him and he's going to go, "Well, if you didn't want this to happen, then help us stop it." And then he's going to move towards the, I guess he can't do anything with it, but he's going to at least move towards the dragon in the cage.
Okay? You don't want to help your 2 friends that are grappled?
They're fine.
God damn it, Ember.
They can,
It's just Basha.
Vasha can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
This
all
line
right.
of thinking feels familiar.
You go toward the dragonborn
What my
in the
sister
cage.
says.
Is there anything you want to do?
I'd like to see, so do I see if there's like a lock on it or anything like that?
Yes, there is a padlock on it.
So I'm assuming I can't try to attack it this turn because it's already...
No,
'Cause
you're
you already
out of
moved,
actions,
yeah.
but you can speak if you want to.
Okay, so I'm gonna like look into the cage and I'm going to say, "Are you a member of Baku's family?"
He looks up, like he's like terrified because there's a giant dragon that just killed 3 people directly in front of his face. But he says, "Yes."
I will get you. I'm gonna get you out of here, and he's gonna like presumably start to do something.
On
But
your next turn. On your next
yeah,
turn.
Right.
Uh,
You should have asked his name.
Ember is not that self-aware.
Next up in the order, going back to the top, is the cultists. The cultists. What are they going to do? Well, they just saw 2 of them get fucking decimated by Escher, who they can no longer see because apparently he's a fucking ghost. So they are going to... 2 of them are going to run up and try to attack you, Ember, and pile onto you.
Cool.
So you are grappled again. Actually,
Wait,
Actually,
can I do a
I
strength
cannot-
check?
they're too far enough. They're too far. So they are approaching you, but they have not been able to grapple
Okay.
you yet. But you can tell their intentions are pretty clear.
Their arms are out like grapple, grapple.
Ember's like, "Come at me, motherfucker."
After that, next up in the order is the giant emerald dragon Marin, and she is going to. Oh God, Vasha.
Yeah.
As you are standing there being grappled by 2 people, an enormous dragon head the size of like a carriage comes down directly in front of you and fucking swallows one of the cultists.
God.
Oh my god.
And yeah, the bite down is so hard that one of its arms falls off and just lands next to your feet. You can see her shake her head kind of like an angry dog, and the corpse goes flying against the far wall. And then she's going to use her claw attack, which is the only one that is guaranteed to kill this cultist with 33 hit points.
So sad.
Bosch is probably like, what the hell, man?
I'm a bit startled, to say the least.
No, that's not enough to kill it, but she kind of slashes her claw across it and sends it staggering. The dragon looks at you and she says, "Help them!"
Help them being my companions, or which them? There's a lot of thems.
I imagine that's that's the kind of question like, "Help who?" And she says, "Baku, help them!"
Of course, of course.
Bosch is
and
like,
with that-
yeah.
And with that, she rears up and she beats her wings, and a couple more cultists fall over. Next up in the order is Baku.
Okay, so what can I do? I'm still grappled, yeah? There's still one.
You can
Okay.
speak, but you cannot move one arm.
I can speak.
Yes, you can. Because the
Oh.
one that was holding your mouth shut currently does not have a head.
Is headless. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So I could cast a spell. Maybe.
You could cast a verbal spell, yes.
Oh yeah, what's around me, by the way?
Vasha is about 10 feet to your left. There's a couple dead cultists to your up to you and to your left that just got thunder breathed to death.
Right?
Near them, Ember is standing by a cage, and I want you to roll perception to see if you recognize who's in that cage, Baku.
Okie dokie, real perception. All right. So... Oh, nice.
Don't worry, it's not a high DC. It's your brother.
It's the eldest one.
Yep, currently in a cage. Oh, and also directly in front of you, or about as close to directly in front of you, is an enormous emerald dragon. There's that too.
There's that. Oh yes,
That
there
knows
is
your
that.
name.
Baku was just like looks up at her and is like, what? Who are you? What is this?
Your turn, Baku.
Okay. Anyway, can I do my breath? Can I do my poison breath?
You can do your breath. And this is, we talked about this. This is the first time that you are using your breath, correct? You've just never had chance to use your breath weapon.
Right. So this is a 15-foot cone.
You have seen, other green dragonborn use it in the past, and it's always like a jet of a poison that sprays out. You, on the other hand, when that instinct rises up in the back of your throat, and you use your breath weapon, what comes out is not poison, but an enormous thunderous sound, not unlike the one you just heard from the giant emerald dragon in front of you.
Sweet.
So instead of poison damage, you are going to be doing thunder damage with this weapon.
Okay.
You are attacking the one behind you, the one still grappling you? Kind of turning your head and shouting, if you will.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what I would. Yeah.
Just screaming directly in his face.
Right, directly in its face. Yeah.
Concentration.
It'd be like head explodey.
His con mod is +1. That is almost certainly not going to do it. All right. So
Nope.
all that he's going to eat all that thunder damage.
Okay, so 4d6.
46.
Yep.
Okay,
Just
just straight up.
Yeah, it's not a spell, so you don't get to.
Oh, that's right. You're right. It's not a spell, right? I'm just roaring.
16. In addition, so they eat 16 damage, and in addition to that, they go flying back 10 feet.
Cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Which successfully breaks the grapple.
Yay.
And that is your turn, Baku.
Sweet.
Awesome. So Baku's just kind of like, that's not the kind of damage that I'm supposed to do. What?
Well, it's not a complete surprise. Like, you did know that
Right.
you were not a green dragon, but also...
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. After Baku's like, oh, of course.
It's really fucking cool to see it in action, though. And in fact, it's Escher's turn now, and you can hear him say, from fucking somewhere, you don't know where he is. You can hear him say, that was fucking rad!
Baku's just like, gives a thumbs up to the air, like wherever he is.
Thanks, wherever you are.
Right.
Escher, it is Escher's turn now. He is still hidden. He is going to dash over to you, where you are, Ember. He's like, I'm the thief. I can break the locks. Go smash cultist heads.
I suppose I can do that. I just thought I was trying to get us more allies.
Don't worry about it. Go smash things with a hammer.
Okay, fine.
Next up in the order is Vasha. Escher's going to start picking the lock. Next up in the order is Vasha. You are no
Okay.
longer grappled, Elfie.
Okay, describe where the cultists are compared to my friends.
Most of them in front of you are dead.
Okay.
There are about 6 of them behind you. They are quite a ways off. They are about... Hang on, I have a little map I drew on an index card. So there are 6 of them behind you. 2 of them are by a wall, and there are 2 little groups of 2 about 100 yards away from you. And you can see on their faces, like, they're thinking, it might be time to go. Like,
They're like,
it's probably
was a
time to
bad
run.
idea.
Cool. I'm gonna use my bow, and I'm gonna use Hail of Thorns,
Excellent.
More applause.
and I'm gonna shoot at one of the groups.
Alrighty. And they're close enough together that both would be affected by the hail damage.
And I'm doing this as a level 2 spell slot, so that's an additional, or no, Hail of Thorns, additional 1d10.
The thing I'm really concerned about is the invisible man.
You know, there's that.
Why would
Yeah,
that be
I
a
know.
problem?
I know.
I'm sure invisibility is not a problem. It's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Also, like, I have no spells, so this is literally this. I just have full hammers. My only skill.
25.
25 total. So that doesn't kill them, but it comes real close.
And I have multi-attack.
You sure do.
So I'm going to do it again for the other group.
Yay! 27. Okay, that also doesn't quite kill them, but it gets real close.
Mhm.
And then I have Horde Breaker, so I can also attack a different group within 5 feet of the original target within range of the weapon.
So yeah, this is another group of 2, so you can attack the one directly next to them.
Yep.
These are not challenging villains, they're just a lot.
There's just a lot of them.
Alright, it also doesn't quite kill them, but boy does it get close. So you've done significant damage to a whole slew of them.
Sweet.
And you see them realizing, yeah, it's probably time to go. It's probably so yeah, that is Vasha's turn. Next up in the order is Varain. He does not take any action that you can see him do.
Yeah.
Because he's invisible, of course.
That's great.
But Moran kind of whirls her head around and she says, Varain, I know you're there! I can smell you! And her wing slams into the ground on her end of the cave, but it doesn't seem to hit anything, and she says, Varain! And that is all that he can do. Next up in the order is Ember. There are a couple very close to dead cultists on the far end of the cave.
Also, is the magical force field still up?
Oh no, that went away when she transformed into a dragon.
Okay. And so it was guarding an area, and now presumably you can get into the area.
Now that you are seeing it, actually, Ember, you're kind of finally putting the pieces together on your shitty nature roll. The reason there is a thunderhead directly over this mountain is because it is a dragon's lair. Dragons have localized weather effects on wherever they put their hoard. And then you realize, oh, this is her hoard, like the giant piles of books and miscellaneous magical items. This is her hoard. This is where she lives.
Gotcha. So
Rude.
Maybe do a perception to see if I can see if there's anything moving over there, or I see anything different, or...
Yeah, roll perception.
That's not going to end well, but it's fine. We're just going to do it anyway. Yeah.
With a 10, the thing is, he's not trying to be particularly subtle because he's already invisible. You do see a book fall off a shelf at the far end of the room, and you think you have a general idea of where he may be going.
Sweet. I'm going to sprint over there. How far can I get?
You can go up to your speed, which is not far enough to catch up with him, but you now have a pretty good idea of where he is.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to run to rush over there. I think I'm going to shout to the others. I'm like, he's over there. The invisible man whose name I can't remember is over there. And I'm going to charge over there with my hammer, just 100% over my head like a maniac.
All right, it is now the cultists' turn. The remaining cultists at the far end of the cave are looking at each other like, we should probably go. We should go. So they collectively turn tail, and just as they're about to run out, suddenly someone in the near the mouth of the cave casts Ice Storm. He successfully kills 2 of the cultists, or whoever it is, you can't tell. But that's all that they can do on this turn. I'm going to add them into the order real quick.
Okay, so maybe he's on our side if he's...
You can't tell.
No, I don't know. I'm scared,
you
you guys.
can barely see him. It's a very, very big cave.
Right, exactly.
Next up in the order is Moran. And when she sees you charging into her hoard, Ember, you can tell her instinct is, get out of my hoard! But she fights it down, and she says, he'll probably be going into the back area, quickly!
I'm working on it!
And with that, she flaps her massive green wings, and she takes off, and she soars close to the... it's a very high ceiling, but for a giant dragon, it's quite small. It's quite low. She soars down over, and she uses her... breath again, her thunderous breath, and there's this cataclysmic roaring sound, and 2 more of they've only got 8 HP left. They both go down, and that is Moran's turn. Next up in the order is Baku. There is 1 cultist, and he is running for his sweet life.
I think probably Baku's just gonna be like, you know what, and is going to fly
Woo!
Where you gonna fly?
Break out the wings.
Where you gonna fly, my sweet?
And maybe follow Ember.
All right, what's your
Ooh.
fly speed?
Oh, flying speed equal to your current speed.
Oh, so you can fly as fast as you can run,
Mhm.
which probably means like 40 feet. So you can't quite catch up to Ember, but you do make good progress on him. By the way, Baku, as soon as you enter the back of this cave, this horde is the coolest shit you've ever seen. It is like all of the books you can tell are arcane in nature.
Oh, damn.
Something to do with magic or the planes. Every single instrument on that large table in the middle of the area is something that you just want to fiddle with.
Baku's like, focus after Ember.
And there is a smaller area off toward the back corner of this large back area that is full of more traditional dragon hoardy stuff. Like there's a pile of gold around near one wall. There's several treasure chests, and you can see that there are signs of movement in this area.
Right.
Next up in the order is Escher.
Did he unlock the cage with Ran in it yet?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna use his thieves tools, so he has proficiency in thieves tools because he used to be a charlatan. It's just we never really got into that backstory part of his. He used to be a charlatan. 14 will do it. The lock falls off with a clank, and he pulls open the door. That is all that he can do on this turn. Next up is Vasha. There's only one cultist, and he's like 100 yards away and screaming for mercy.
Like,
Oh, it's okay. I've got a bow. I can
oh
take
my
care of
god,
that.
yes. Please, OP Legolas, please.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
A 16 is good enough.
Oh, dang.
31. He has 2 hit points left.
Oh my god.
All right.
Overkilled.
I hit him again.
What's your modifier plus? No,
It's
okay.
plus
You don't
13.
have to roll to hit because his AC is 13. 36, yeah. Okay. So I guess this is how I picture this, and correct me if I'm wrong. Vosh is like, no, you fucking don't. And they pull back their bow, and they get one shot in the ribs, and you can just hear, ah! And then he's like, I said fucking no. He fires another shot, and then, ah! And then that stops, and then he capitulates over.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's about it.
And we are... technically we're out of initiative because the only person still fighting is invisible.
Cool. I sprint towards where the rest of the ghosts are.
Once she sees you take that last cultist out, she's like, oh, thank God. And she makes a big, broad arc in the air, and she flies back down, and as she's hitting the ground, she transforms back into her human form, and she scrambles back over to her horde. There's someone behind her, someone following behind, not quite as quickly as a flying dragon. But yes, who wants to? What is everyone following her? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's like Ember and Baku were like going in a different direction, right?
Yeah, we're like charging towards the horde, trying to figure it because we think the guy's still there.
Mm.
You were charging toward. Yes, I'm saying. What about everyone else? Does everyone else go toward Ember?
Oh, okay.
I don't like splitting the party.
Mm.
Okay, so no one looks back.
Well, I mean, I was pointed toward the mouth of the cave when I made that shot.
Yeah, but like the person, the mystery person is too far for you to tell who they are, and you're following Ember, and everyone's following Ember in that direction. That's what I'm asking.
I guess.
Okay, no one looks.
Nope.
So you all go toward the mouth of the cave, and she is a lot faster than everyone else. And by the time she lands in her human form, she stops at the back room of her horde, and she's like listening very carefully. She says, "Fuck, I can't hear him." And she says, "Varain?" But of course, there's no answer.
Of course.
So I guess I get there and look like an idiot as I like put my hammer down. Oh, let's see here. I wonder if I cast.
You cannot cast a spell.
Well, I can't cast one, but I can cast something through my hammer.
Yes, you can.
Right.
You can cast through your hammer. That is anything
Mhm.
your hammer can do. You can cast.
Does
So-
anybody have Dispel Magic?
The Hammer of Heavens does not have Dispel Magic.
Yeah, I don't just.
But I think
I
Baku's
do.
ring has Dispel Magic.
I
But
do.
you have to be able to see what you want to do.
Exactly. It was like,
Oh.
what? How can I use it if I can't see it?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that would work or not.
I was gonna try to do detect evil and good. Do I know if that would do any?
Detect evil and good. Let me look it up what that does.
I guess it's not really. It's celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You do not think that Varain is any of those things. He looked
Right,
like a human to
exactly.
you.
Yeah, and I can't use detect magic because it's like, oh, I detect this giant dragon lady who's magic. I detect myself who's magic, and those bows are magic. Those arrows are magic.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's too much magic.
As you are all kind of like, I imagine like this isn't just an OC conversation. Like this is IC. Like you're asking, like,
Cut
"Hey,
out.
can you cast detect magic? You know, it's like, can I detect evil and good? And suddenly a voice behind you says, "Stand back."
Yike.
Can we turn around and look and see who says it?
You sure can. It
Yeah.
is a face that actually I don't know. Ember and Vasha roll plus. I guess this would be like if you're trying to recognize someone. I guess that would be plus int plus whiz. I guess it would be because it's so you're trying to recall basic factual information. So I'm gonna say int.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually more than enough to recognize him. He looks a lot different from the last time you saw him, but it is unmistakable. It is fucking Mordenkainen.
Oh. Hi.
Mordenkainen moves one one hand across his eyes and he casts True Seeing.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. We move out of the way.
Yes, definitely move out of the way.
You
Mhm.
can see his enhanced magical, the magic glittering around his eyes, and he's like scanning the area and he says, "He's already gone."
What's gone?
Varain.
Who was he and why was he here?
He's looking for the Avatar, so that's not good.
That's definitely not good.
How can he have the Avatar? We all have shards of the Avatar, don't we?
Yes, dummy.
Mordenkainen says, "I suspect he didn't know that." And he turns to the woman who is like wringing her hands. She is so nervous. She says, "Mordenkainen, I wish the circumstances were better." She says, "I understand, Moran. Do you have any idea what he took?" And she starts, looking through the back area of her hoard for anything that might be missing. And she's turning over, piles, like she's opening chests and looking through things. She's like, "I don't see anything immediately." She walks past you and starts scanning all the little nooks and crannies of this little back area. This appears to be where she keeps the really valuable and or dangerous shit. Like,
Fair.
Baku, you can see, besides like the piles of gold, there's like there's a staff holstered on the wall that you can just looking at it, like that's cursed. Like if you touch it, it's probably
That staff's
going to,
cursed.
like eat your face or something awful.
Baku looks at Ember. Don't touch that.
And Ember was already reaching out to touch it. Oh, my goodness.
Don't touch anything.
His like hands are like right on the. Oh, okay. I wasn't gonna touch it. He says sullenly.
Baku.
And finally, Moran settles down, and she finds a open chest near the corner of the wall, and she swears in Draconic, and she says, "Damn it! He took the ledgers." Mordenkainen says, "The family ledgers." He says, "Yes, the ones that date back. Damn it! He'll have a pretty good idea of where everything is."
Ember steps forward at this point. He's like, "Can someone explain what's going on to the rest of us?"
Mordenkainen turns around and he finally looks at you, and it finally seems to click in his head. It's like, "Oh, I recognize you. Like I remember you." And he says, "Oh my goodness, you have grown up, haven't you?"
I don't know whether to be offended by that, but I'm just gonna take it at face value. Sure.
Baku's like, I don't know this dude, but also there's a giant dragon lady.
Baku, roll history. You might
Bull
know,
history,
you might know who
okay.
this is.
Maybe I do.
Not only do you know who this is, you probably
Wrote a book.
no, I wasn't gonna say you probably didn't write a book. You probably read his book. Mordenkainen is the most famous magical scholar, pretty much who has ever lived. He has spells named after him. You might know Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion, Mordenkainen's Faithful Hound. He has created spells. He is true neutrally aligned. He's interested in balance more than any particular ideology.
More than anything, yeah.
And he is one of the most powerful wizards who has ever lived. You probably are a fanboy of this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Baku's just like, okay, so really, really cool dude for magic, and also dragon person, and also where am I?
Mordenkainen approaches Moran after like acknowledging Ember and Vosh is like, "Hi, give me just a moment." And, he goes
Ember
over.
looks baffled.
He goes over to Moran and he says, "You've been feeling the earthquakes too." And she swears and she says, "Yes, I've been feeling them. It's coming now. It's not going to be long." And he says, "Well, it seems that Providence has brought it all here right into your lap." And he looks back at the four of you. By the way, Escher finally reappeared with Ron.
Oh, okay. Thanks for joining us, Escher.
He's like, "Hey, did I miss anything?"
No.
No, he's been paying attention. Escher is kind of like staring at Mordenkainen, like trying to remember where he's seen him before. Escher probably never met Mordenkainen, even though they were both trapped in Barovia. But he's still familiar to him, and he can't quite place where.
I lean over and fill him in.
So Mordenkainen and Moran are conferring in quiet Draconic for quite some time, unless someone wants to interrupt them.
So, I have a question. Do we have any of like the Baku's siblings? Like, are they out and about and like?
Yeah, actually, now that you ask, the one that had been in the cage that Escher busted out is standing up. Like he's cracking his back because you think he's been in that cage for a while. Rugen, who just kind of had been standing there this entire time, not really sure where his loyalties lied, is still standing exactly where you left him. He has not moved at all.
Wow.
Nice.
That's insane. I think Ember turns to Baku and he's like, "So are these your? Maybe we want to ask your brothers what's going on."
Baku is probably gonna stride like right past Rugen and straight to the elder one and be like, "Ran, what happened? What's going on?"
Ran, well, first of all, he goes up to you and he pulls you into a tight hug.
Baku's just like, okay.
And he says, "I am so glad that you are okay. When I heard what they were going to do," he shoots like the dirtiest look at Rugen, who has the decency to look somewhat contrite.
There's always one bad brother.
He says, "We were tricked. Mother, me, Rugen, we were summoned out here to the middle of nowhere in this fucking mountain, and someone agreed to cooperate with the scary cultists." And Rugen said, and you can hear Rugen in the back, like, "They say they had mothers." Like, "They were lying, Rugen. They're cultists. It's what they do."
Baku's like, "Then where is our mother?"
She says, "I don't know. She just vanished one day, and we followed the trail here, and someone decided to cooperate with the people that almost certainly kidnapped her." And Rugen's like, "We don't know that." "Shut up, Rugen!"
Baku's just like, it's like I never looked.
Ember's like, "This is surprisingly like my family."
You have gained +5 more friendship. You are at 10 friendship now. Baku just sort of like looks at Ember like, brothers.
Brothers,
So,
right?
during this conversation, he like leans forward and he goes, "So if it wasn't to actually, save your mother, then what's going on? Who are the cultists? What are they trying to do?"
That is when Moran speaks up and she says, "The cult is called Nagath Regalia." She
Okay.
has folded her arms over her chest and she says, "They are ancient enemies to my bloodline."
I see. By the way, who are you?
It seems to finally occur to her. She says, "Oh, my name is Moran, and not to put too fine a point on it, but I have a pretty good idea of who you all are."
How?
Okay.
She says, "You're carrying the shards," and she looks very deliberately at your hammer, Ember, as you ask.
Oh, I remember now. There was down.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
oh, this hammer.
What does that have to do with this whole situation? What does it have to do with the earthquakes?
Okay, Ember, really? Clearly, they're trying to bring back Nagath, and the shards of Anvatar are like the only thing that can, destroy him if we can figure out how to get them back together. Remember?
No.
All
No.
the shit that Daven told us before we found out what he did?
It's been a really busy week, to be fair.
Moran says, well, you're not wrong, but you're also not as right as you need to be, Vasha. She says, the Anvatar is not a weapon, not really. She kind of steps forward and she reaches out toward the Earthshaper that's hanging around your neck, Vash, and she almost touches it, but she kind of recoils at the last second. Like, she knows if she touches it, she's going to have to roll a whiz save, and it's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And she says, it is not a coincidence that you all found these shards. It is not a coincidence that they all took to you so easily. It's not a coincidence that they all happen to be on the same continent, on the same plane, in the same system. It knows that the end of the world is nigh. The Anvatar knows. And it knows that it's either going to be the instrument of its survival or its complete destruction.
I blanch.
Then what can we do?
She says, well, have you collected all the shards?
How many were there? I don't remember.
We did get all of them.
We did.
We don't have them on us, but we do have them all.
She says,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. All 6.
Okay, wait.
Yes.
Count. So there's 3 of them.
I was like, let's count the ring,
There's
the
4
hammer.
that we have right now here.
Yeah. And then Lady Tremaine has 1, and then we have the sword.
We have the sword too.
Yes, we have all of them.
Escher suddenly speaks up, like, hang on. And he's like you can see a dawning horror on his face. Didn't we leave the jagged sword in the carriage because none of us could touch it?
Oh fuck!
Oh no!
Oh,
Oh no!
Okay, addendum. We had all 6 items, but then we left it in the carriage, so now we don't. We have 5. Shit!
Shit!
Fuck!
He says, which one do you not have?
Oh, the worst one,
The sword.
the sword.
The
The
jagged
jagged
sword? Where is it?
Shit.
It may be
Gone.
with my brother.
Oh god.
You can see that her reaction is pretty much on the same level. Mordenkainen, who had been kind of, he's very much the listen, don't interrupt kind. But as the conversation goes on, he sidles up to Moran and he says, I know there's a lot to digest, my lady, but about these earthquakes, I think you know what this means. He kind of looks back at the 4 of you and he says, someone has significantly weakened some of the outer planes, including the 9 hells. The planar system is very unstable right now, and if there was ever a time that the Goth could break out of his own power, and she kind of holds one hand up and she says, I know. She
Yeah,
says,
who would do that? Destroy a plane of existence. I don't know anybody who would do that.
who, for example, would capitulate 3 layers of hell?
Bucko just kind of like scratches the back of the neck. Like, oh yeah, that was us.
Not all of it was us. I mean, Asmodeus had something to do with it.
It's true.
She, Moran, kind of holds up a placating hand and she says, right now, if we can get all the shards of the Avatar together, we can reform it and we can put an end to this. And she says, you have 4 of them. And she says, I see the hammer, the necklace. And she finally walks to you, Baku, and she looks down at your hand and where you have the Breath of Arcana on your hand. She looks at your hand for a really long time and then she looks up at you. And you can see that she is fighting back a huge well of emotion.
Oh.
She sort of hesitantly reaches out and she puts a hand on your shoulder and she says, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. You take after your father, you know.
Bucko's like, you know my father?
She says, oh, yes, I knew him very well.
Okay.
It's your mom, your real mom.
Bucko's like, yeah, so I recently discovered that I'm not actually a green dragon.
She says, yes, that's true. You are not a green dragon.
And also, I just used my breath weapon just now. It was exactly like yours.
What a coincidence. You can see she's kind of wiping at her eyes. And she says,
Bucko's like, This is all very interesting, and I don't have time to deal with this right now.
Poor baby.
He says, no, I agree. There's a lot to do, and the first step is finding the sword. It is an extraordinarily powerful artifact, and we need to find it immediately.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And let's leave it there for the night.
Oh my god.
You know that feeling when you're like, I'm gonna save my mom, but then your mom actually saves you.
And it's
Thank
not
you,
the mom
ancient
thought it
emerald
was.
dragon, for being my mom.